Today we're going to talk about the leftovers. No, not the leftovers from that meal you cooked a week ago and nobody wants to eat. You've been ignoring it for too long. We're talking about leftovers in a 529 plan. What a great problem to have. You did all the things you needed to do. You saved money, you were disciplined, you started early with your kids. All of a sudden now, the kids are graduated from college and they've got this 529 account. You don't know what to do with it. You're in the right place. We're going to tell you all about what your options are today. Hi, my name's Ryan Olson. I'm a certified financial planner in San Luis Obispo, California. We've been helping families just like yours for over 20 years make decisions about these types of things. What do we do with our 529 plan? How do we use those leftovers best as possible? Now, the good news about this is you have an incredible planning opportunity. You've got a bucket of money that is sheltered from taxes currently, and we got to figure out what to do with it now. Now, don't feel bad about this situation. We come across this time and time again. It's frustrating because you feel like that's capital that you could have used somewhere else in your life, and you're not quite sure how to get it out of the fund without creating a great big tax bill. You shouldn't feel so bad. The reality is saving for college, it's a moving target. There's too many variables. That's the secret, right? There's never the perfect amount. So maybe your child had a scholarship or had financial aid or went straight into the workforce. And now you've got to figure out what to do with that money. So if you've got leftovers, the question isn't simply how do we get the money out of the account? There's a better question. It's what's the most efficient use of this money? And is that now or is that in the future? And if it's used well, it can support education, family, legacy. It can be tax efficient, and it even could be a source of retirement savings for the beneficiary of the account. But if it's used poorly, it's going to create a tax bomb that you're not expecting when that could have been avoidable. And nobody likes to write a check to the IRS or the Franchise Tax Board when they don't have to. First off, let's remember, what does a 529 plan actually do? Well, technically, it's a qualified tuition program, and it's generally established by a state or a state agency, and that allows that money to be saved for qualified education expenses. We'll put a link somewhere over here down below somewhere to what a qualified education expense is. The main benefit of a 529 plan is it shelters earnings in the plan from federal taxes and in some cases state taxes. So you don't get a big deduction for putting money into the 529 plan. Rather, the benefit is like a Roth, where that money is growing, is federally tax-free when you use it for those qualified education expenses. And that's the real benefit right there. So let's use a real life example just to do some math for you here. If you put in $100,000 over the life of your child, and that $100,000 grows to say $190,000, the $90,000, as long as that goes to education, is what comes out federally tax-free, and they have to be for qualified education expenses. And that's the secret sauce right there. Now, if we're comparing that to just a regular investment account or a UTMA account that you set up for your child and you decided to use that to pay for education, you're talking about, in the same example, $100,000 put in, it's grown to $190,000. That $90,000, could have a tax bill of in the range of $15,000. That's where the true value of that 529 comes in. Now, here's a kind of the reality of the situation is that the reason you have money left over in that 529 plan is because college is expensive, right? In 2025 and 2026 school year, the College Board estimated that the average full-time undergraduate budget was around $31,000 for an in-state school, $51,000 for an out-of-state public school, and amazingly, over $65,000 for a private school. That's just incredible, right? And that's just 1 year. And if you have more than one child, we can see all of a sudden why there's such a sense of urgency to have large balances in the 529 plan. So getting back to the leftovers, here are your options. The first thing, and this is going to be groundbreaking for you, leave them alone. Yeah, just do nothing. A 529 plan, it doesn't expire. There's no end date to it. So you could, as the owner of the account, if you're the owner, you can control that for, the rest of your life and have a successor owner. If you choose to go this way, you've got to be mindful of the investment allocation and start to consider a new timeline for that money, because maybe you've moved it to a more conservative position and expectation of using the funds for your child's college or grandchild's college. And then all of a sudden the money's there. But if you're not going to touch it, then move it back to more of a growth orientation and let that continue to grow and help the family out in the future. Second option, here's another easy one. Just change the beneficiary to another family member. The IRS actually has a pretty broad definition of what a family member is. And so you're able to change the beneficiary to another child or to a grandchild or niece or nephew. And we'll put a link on our bio about who you can change the beneficiary to. And the third item is you can roll it into a Roth IRA. This is a relatively new rule. It's come available in the last couple of years. And so what that means is you're allowed to put a lifetime maximum of $35,000 into a Roth IRA rolled over from the 529 plan, but you can't do it in one felt swoop. It's based upon the annual maximum contribution limit for a Roth IRA. So it's going to take some time for you to get that money over, and you have to do it slowly. For 2026, the maximum Roth IRA contribution is $7,500 for individuals under age 50 and $8,600 for those over age 50. And so you can do the math on that, and you can see how much time it'll take you to get that money there. So the Roth IRA option, that helps with some of the proceeds that are left over, but if you have a large balance, it's not going to take care of the whole thing. Now, the fourth option, you can use some of the account balance to pay back student loans, and that's subject to a lifetime limit of $10,000 currently. But that's one way to help get through things. More than likely, you don't have student loans if you had a large 529 plan. So this item isn't the most useful, but you never know. The fifth option, you're allowed to roll the 529 plan into an ABLE account. Now, technically, an ABLE account is a type of a 529 plan, and there are specific qualifications. These are for individuals who are disabled, and we'll give you a link to more information on who meets those requirements in our bio. So follow that to learn more about that option. There are some restrictions on that one, but it's important that you know if that is something that would apply to your family, that you know that is an option. And here's the final, the shocker, the one that might surprise you more than any of the other options. Take a non-qualified distribution. That's right, just take the money out. Now, this isn't the best financial advice. You need to consult with your CPA before you do this. But if you've got a large balance and you need to access that money for non-education, for non-qualified expense, what's going to happen is you're going to end up paying taxes on your gains, both federal and state. And then there's going to be a 10% penalty on the earnings as well. So keep in mind, you're paying the taxes on the earnings, right? We didn't get a deduction for putting money into the account. So the IRS and the state, they're not going to tax you for the principal you put in, but they're going to tax you on your gains. So if you're on a high tax bracket, all of a sudden you could be looking at a 50% tax. That doesn't feel good. That's why you consult with your CPA. You schedule it out over time, spread out that liability if necessary. So this is probably a last case scenario for you. However, it's not the worst thing in the world. You had an investment that you funded. Again, you were disciplined. You did all the right things. And all of a sudden, you've got this great big account balance. Great problem to have. It grew tax-free for all those years, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And you benefited from a really good stock and bond market, a really good economy, right? It's not the worst thing in the world. So there you have it. 6 solutions to those 529 leftovers. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for watching. Reach out, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. And we hope to talk with you soon. Bye-bye.